Hi, everyone. I'm Ash McManus, Senior Director of Global Marketing at SmartEye. Welcome to the Human-Centric AI Podcast, where each episode we feature thought leaders doing cutting-edge work in the AI space. A little bit about us. SmartEye is the global leader in human insight AI, technology that understands, supports, and predicts human behavior in complex environments, bridging the gap between humans and machines for a safe and sustainable future. Today, our technology is embedded in next-generation vehicles, leading the way towards human-centric mobility through driver monitoring systems and interior sensing solutions. Our research instruments offer unparalleled insights into automotive, aviation, assistive technology, behavioral science, and many more fields. The next 10 to 20 years promise to see amazing expansion of human behavioral research using sensing technologies both commercially and academically. Technological advances will make it easier, faster, and more cost-effective to understand what's driving human behavior and decision-making, of which we know more than 95% occurs below conscious awareness. SmartEye's recent acquisition of emotion AI pioneer Affectiva and iMotions, the leading biosensor software platform, have all joined forces to create a true integrated powerhouse in delivering unparalleled insights into human behavior. So today, we have a very special episode featuring Dr. Rana el Kaliouby, former co-founder and CEO of Affectiva, currently Deputy CEO of SmartEye, moderating a discussion with SmartEye CEO Martin Krantz and iMotions CEO Peter Hartzbech. The three discussed how this new global organization will deliver unparalleled technology and a comprehensive analysis platform for research to be conducted faster, cheaper, easier, and in more challenging environments, and the opportunities for human behavioral research in automotive, academia, and more.
Welcome, I'm Rana el Kaliouby, Deputy CEO of SmartEye and formerly the co-founder and CEO of Affectiva. And I'm very excited to have two very special guests with me here today, Martin Krantz, the founder and CEO of SmartEye and my new boss, and Peter Hartzbech, the founder and CEO of iMotions. Before I let you both introduce yourselves and give us a little bit of background on both SmartEye and iMotions, I have a really pressing question. Are there any cultural differences between the Swedes and the Danes?
OMG, you bet there is. I mean, they have
Which is better?
They have red hot dogs in Denmark.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some exciting and good differences between Danes and Swedes. But luckily, we are very close to the Swedish border, so we kind of have prepared for 17 years to get into this, I guess.
Yes, you may have seen that we recently announced the acquisition of iMotions. So this completes our trifecta of a collaboration that's actually been in the making for many, many years. Affectiva has worked with iMotions for a number of years, and SmartEye has worked with iMotions for a number of years. And so welcome to the SmartEye family, Peter.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So why don't you go first, Peter? What is iMotions and how did you get it started?
Yeah, well, so iMotions is a software company, and we work on synchronizing biosensors. So a biosensor could, for example, be an eye tracker, which you know that, for example, SmartEye is doing. So and also other sensors, and for example, also facial expression technologies through a webcam, which we have been providing through Affectiva, obviously. We're going to come back to why that is exciting. That of course the two of your companies are there. But basically, what we do is that we make it easy for researchers to synchronize these different signals and then conduct the research so they get fully transparent data and very high quality data. And basically, we have approximately 1,300 clients across the globe, around 80 countries. And half of the clients are kind of academic clients. So it could be Harvard, Yale, MIT, Stanford kind of clients. And also the large Fortune 500 companies use it in either their user experience labs or in the marketing lab and so on, basically across the whole value chain from the companies. But our kind of perfect fit is in the research and development departments where you build all the new products, sense, how should things look and so on, where you combine all of these different sensors to better understand human behavior. So that's kind of the core of what we're doing. And it's been a long path. What I'm normally saying is I'm the teenager in this group because Martin has been doing eye tracking for 22 years, and I'm only 17 years in. So I'm the teenager. But what we first did was that we worked primarily only with eye tracking, and then during that decade almost, what happened is my mother, she got very sick of Parkinson's disease. And then when we have worked on eye tracking for quite some years, we took a different approach to try to add different sensors. Nobody had really seen and understood that you need multimodality. And multimodality, just to introduce that word, because it's probably going to be used a lot, is that you have these different signals that we combine and stream together on one platform, right? That's multimodality. And then we started with one sensor, and in order to try to really understand better human behavior, because I could see that my mother began to fall. There was change in her pupil dilations and a lot of other physical signals in the body. But it was not possible to diagnose the disease. And that's kind of the reason for why we jumped into to the multimodal space and tried to see if we could create a platform that the researchers could use to diagnose neurological diseases such as Parkinson's, but also autism, Alzheimer's, OCD, all these different disorders. So that is kind of the vision of what we also hope to do in the long term. And I know that both you and Martin also are excited about that space. That's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. But now we at least have created a platform that a lot of the leading researchers around the world are using in order to try to find biomarkers and signals on the human body. And of course, both eye tracking and facial expressions are key to doing that. And so that's also one of the reasons for why I think it's super exciting with this trifecta we have created here between the three companies. So I think that's the short story.
That's great. And we'll come back to some of the use cases because some of them are, as you said, extremely powerful. Martin, tell us the story of Smart Eye and also how do you see the fit, obviously, with Affectiva and iMotions?
Yeah, so 22 years ago, I started Smart Eye together with my father. And the background was that my father, he had a dream that Mary, his wife, she had a frozen shoulder. So she had a hard time using the computer mouse. So he dreamt that she could just look at the screen, the mouse cursor would go wherever she looked, and she blinked instead of clicking, and she got well in her shoulder. That was his dream. So he told me about this dream, and he was like, do you even think it's possible to do something like that? I started to, I was like, yeah, I don't know if it's possible, but I should be able to calculate and just to see if it's possible or not. So I started to think about it, like on weekends and evenings and so on. I sort of came to the conclusion I think it was doable, just looking at resolutions and compute rates and things like that, like the optics of it. So that summer, actually, of 99, we started a company, and we started small. It was just me, myself, and I in the beginning. And then, it grew from there. And very early on, we said that, eye tracking, measuring people's eyes, it can be used like his dream when you control a computer, but it can be used everywhere. Like it could really permeate everywhere. But we said that if you make it work in a car, there's a great compelling use case because you can save lives. This is going to be like the seatbelt, like the airbag. If you can prove that you can use it in a car, save lives, people falling asleep, people being inattentive and things like that, you can resolve that big problem. This is going to become mandatory in every car, really. So that was already, I would say, 20 years ago, after like 1 or 2 years of starting the company. We said, like, yeah, let's make a system that works in the car. And we did. Mm-hmm. And then it took some years. Then we had a Lehman crash and everything got a little bit delayed. The automotive industry was hurt at that time. But after the Lehman crash, when everyone recovered, we started the rollout for series production. And since 2018, we are in series production with BMW with the first systems. And automotive industry is very particular in that the lead times are so large. So you really start selling something 5 years before it goes into production, and you start series development 3 years before something goes into production. So what we saw now, not just a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, so we saw that except driver monitoring, where you measure the details about the face and the eyes and so on of the driver, we saw that there's a huge interest of measuring everything inside the car. And we had like this awesome, really cool, great competitor in Boston that we were really had a lot of respect for, which was Affectiva, of course. And so, but when Corona started, we started to talk, Rana and I, and we realized that we probably could gain more from collaboration than from competing with each other for this like entire cabin measurements. But also, like so that's basically what I think is the next step in automotive. You measure everything in the cabin, but the next step after that is to do what Peter and iMotions have pioneered in research field, is to go multimodal and use multiple sensors to be able to gain more insights of what's going on with the driver and the passengers and everything else inside of the car.
I think what is really exciting about our collective vision, which is super aligned, is Smart Eye started with eye tracking. We started with artificial emotional intelligence or emotion AI. And Pete, you've been on this track of bringing all these different sensors and modalities together. Mm-hmm. And we're now evolving and we're defining a new category of human insight AI, understanding mm-hmm. human behaviors, complex emotions, cognitive states in super complex environments, and being the leaders in really understanding humans to bridge this human machine gap. So I'm very excited about where this is going from a technological standpoint, but also from an application standpoint. Martin, as you said, there's a huge opportunity within interior sensing alone. But then as we think beyond that, there are other applications outside of automotive. And Peter, you've been at the forefront of that. Before we dive into use cases, why don't you share the story of the iMotions acquisition? Because obviously, well, we know that Peter, you were also expecting a baby at the same time. So tell us a little bit about how that all unfolded. There was a lot of excitement and suspense happening.
Yeah, I must admit, I thought I had been through a lot until this, but I think this kind of peaked the moment Monday, Tuesday before this was announced. But yeah, I think, you can also, of course, jump in there, Martin. But from my side, we have worked on this actually for longer than people maybe think. We've had this shared vision, the three companies, and also have wanted to save lives and use technology for good. And I think, we have been discussing this also actually before COVID. But then if we jump over COVID now to where we are today, then I think we were lucky to have Harald, my first son here, not too long ago. He's 20 months, and then we are expecting a baby girl. And I think the deal was supposed to close maybe a month earlier. That's always, something that happens and so on. So it was all planned, that there was a month to kind of drive around with the child seat in the back and so on, and everything was going to be, done, so to say. But then what happened was that basically it was almost down to the same day that this was announced, and the investor pitch was done.
Of course, right?
So that week, we and Katrine, she went 2 weeks over with the baby. And then that week, Monday, Tuesday, Martin and I, we were supposed to go to Stockholm, then to Gothenburg, and then I was actually standing not with a Christmas tree behind me, but basically just the same background. And then we did the 12 investor pitches Monday and Tuesday, while she could call and say, now it's happening. And we were like, at that point, we were 10 or 11 days over. It was absolutely really strange.
And during one of the investor pitches, Peter was right into his story talking about iMotion. I thought, Catherine is calling me. Oh my God, I gotta go. And he just went. It was false alarm. It was.
And then, what happened then, it was like, really wild that day. And then, right after the 12th, then, luckily I guess we did pretty okay, right, Martin? And then it was fine. And then 20 minutes later, the press release were out. We couldn't say anything to the team. That has been very tough to walk around this information. You have tried the same, Rana. I care about all our team and that. And then suddenly they get this email that, hey, iMotions is acquired. What does it mean? All this stuff, right? And we couldn't follow up right away because we had a quite sizable team in the States as well, right? So the time difference, we couldn't gather everybody at the same time. So it was some very crazy days. So then there was presentation of the team on Wednesday, and there was like media stuff Thursday, and then there was some other things that needs to be solved. Then Friday at 5:00, I came home, and of course I have been ready all the time, as Martin just verified. And then boom, then we were 2 weeks old, we went to the hospital, and then our baby girl, she came Saturday at 1:22, and we were home again at 4:30 in the afternoon, and she's very safe and sound. So two huge live events in 1 week was a little bit more than I would have wished for. So there hasn't been a lot of partying yet, but to all the ones out there, we're going to follow up on that later.
Congratulations on both the acquisition and the baby. This question is to you, Martin. Are you working on Smart Eye for heavy trucks? Kind of segue to our AIS product. And then I guess a comment on autonomous driving.
Yeah. So, we are working on heavy trucks. We have been working on it for 2 years. And we are a bit delayed. The COVID-19 and the semiconductor shortage has not helped us to get it done on the original time schedule. But now we are planning for early Q1 to start deliveries for it, and we are doing a lot of testing right now in the Gothenburg office for the heavy truck product, and that's a driver monitoring system. Unfortunately, it doesn't have iMotion AI. It doesn't have multimodal technology in it yet, but it's like quite similar, I should say, to the system that BMW is producing right now. It's a little bit different because you have bigger distances in a truck compared to a car, but functionality-wise, it's quite similar. When it comes to the question about when does trucks become fully autonomous, there are different levels of autonomy. So you have level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where 5 means that you basically have a robot that's just going around without any human intervention whatsoever. I think that's quite far away. I don't know how far away it is, but it's a really hard engineering and data science problem to solve. But I do know that there are some hybrids, which are systems that are connected via 4G or 5G, and you can they can either go autonomously or be driven like a remote control, basically. And those, I think, actually they have started to make some small scale deliveries with those kinds of trucks already.
So call to action, if anybody's tuned in and is involved with any heavy trucks or fleets, do reach out. We are actively looking for partnerships in this space. I do want to double click a little bit on the interior sensing use case, because it's the natural evolution of driver monitoring. So driver monitoring is what Martin was talking about, but the evolution into interior sensing is this idea that you will have a camera sensor or multiple sensors, really, and multiple modalities even, that are able to see a full view of the occupants in the vehicle and what's going on inside the vehicle. And this will power safety use cases, including driver safety and distraction, but also even, is there a child left behind in the vehicle? Unfortunately, about 50 or so infants are forgotten in the car every year in the United States. I don't know the numbers globally, and they often die in the vehicle. So this is very fixable with a variety of sensors that could be in the vehicle. But there are use cases beyond safety too, around user experience and even wellness inside the car. So we're at the forefront of all of that. And then outside of automotive, I'll just give a plug in to some of our other business units at Smart Eye, and then I'd like to turn it to you, Peter, for some use cases in academia. So we have media analytics as one of our main business. It was one of our main business units at Affectiva, and now at Smart Eye, where we partner and we provide technology for 28% of the Fortune Global 500 companies, and we help them understand the emotional engagement they have with their consumers and their users have with their products and services and video content. So we've been doing this for over 11 years now, and we're deployed in 90 countries around the world. Some of it is around video advertising, but a lot of it is actually entertainment content too. So that's been really fun to see how people respond to Netflix TV shows and whatnot. And then, of course, there's the research instruments business that leverages a lot of the eye tracking solutions that Smart Eye has built over the years, really high grade, highly accurate systems for the aviation industry, as well as behavioral research. And so maybe Peter, you can give us some concrete examples.
Sure. Yeah, gladly. So I think, a lot of the things are being used both academically and commercial, but why don't we talk about some of the commercial applications here? I think, when it was, she asked about automotive. So another one is, for example, user experience. So in general, you can say that the hat we work on or under is research, right? So in general, it's a research platform. That's kind of the second vertical that we have now went into after automotive. Now we have a really strong vertical here in research. And under that, UX or user experience is a really big and growing one, right? So most of the large online companies, let's say Google, Facebook, and so on, all these kind of companies, they do a lot of UX research. So they test where they look on the screen, if people are frustrated, if they can't find the buying button, and so on. So user experience is a huge thing. And there, both eye tracking and facial expression is really key. And what I think is interesting there as well, what's happening right now is that some of this is also going to be online. Right after COVID, we are a desktop platform that is normally around used in a lab, but we also now have online applications where you could, for example, test your websites with basic eye tracking from the web camera and the facial expression engine, right? Where you can look at frustration or brow furrow or if people they're happy when they shop and so on, right? So user experience is a really big area for us. And then there's the whole, if you look at the fast-moving consumer good companies, right? Within packaging, like basically the whole value chain from R&D, how should the product, let's say a shampoo or soap or whatever, how should it smell? Now there's no taste there, but taste is also a big thing. A lot of the large food companies use the platform for the research for how the product should taste. So from the early stage R&D into the more marketing related areas, right? Where how should the package look? Where should it stand on the shelf, right? So the whole experience of how to build a product from end to end. And then also in the end of it, of course, the advertising part where you also, test that. And you also, of course, test the product up against competition. So that's also a very interesting area in the commercial space. And then I think what is really exciting, what's happening right now is training and simulation is really big, I think, also for Smart Eye. So driving simulators, but also, how do you train people? Let's say you have on a drilling platform, right, that is on the other side of the world. How do you actually, for example, take on some eye tracking glasses where you can look at what the person is doing and what they're looking at so you can better guide them? So you have maybe one command central where you can train your staff, and that could work across retail industry, as I said, drilling companies, shipping, across all industries. So training and simulation, I think, is really, really exciting. And another one to add to that is virtual reality, like VR and gaming, but especially VR and how we can also treat neurological diseases, for example, where let's say you have arachnophobia and you can then build a scenario in Unity where the spider comes closer and closer to you, and we can measure, for example, the galvanic skin response, how stressed or how aroused the person is. And then you can move the spider back if you reach a certain threshold, for example, right? So that is also really exciting. And we have big expectations to VR and research, but also later on into more scalable application areas. The dream is one day you go to the doctor, right? Or even sit at home and can be diagnosed for different diseases. And that opens up into maybe the last one that I can probably talk about this for a long time, but healthcare, of course, is really exciting. Where I also think our new mobile platform is really cool. So the future of the lab is this. It's the phone, right? We have in the lab, we have online where people can be tested in their home, and then the mobile that opens up for a lot of application areas, testing on patients. You can observe over much longer time, like Parkinson patients, Alzheimer's patients, where you can basically talk. But measure over a very long time, maybe months of data, right? Where in the lab you do it like a quick test, see some stimuli, and then out, right? So I think that's probably some of the main areas. And of course, automotive is also big for iMotions in the research part. So there's also a lot of synergies there.
The question, has iMotions already done work in the automotive industry? And you have basically both through simulation.
Yeah. But without mentioning any names, since we can't, I would say a lot of the car industry is in the research and development departments using iMotions software, either in simulation, where you have driving simulators, right, where we're built into that, where you can then also not only stream the data from the biosensors, but we can also stream the data from the simulator itself. So the brake, throttle, and so on. So we can also take external data into the synchronization engine. So definitely also a lot of experience in automotive, but we start a bit earlier, and what is nice is we always had to say no when people said, how can we build this into our car? We have to say, you have to talk to our partners, Affectiva and SmartEye, but now we can start to send the lead on pretty quickly.
For those of you who've been following the new U.S. infrastructure bill, the $1 trillion infrastructure bill, there is a big component of it around driver monitoring and interior sensing. And actually one subcomponent is around driver drinking driving behaviors. So we've just wrapped up a study in Sweden in partnership with kind of the equivalent of the Swedish transportation, group. And we just wrapped up a study where we were literally measuring bringing people into a racetrack, having them, drive under the influence in a very safe way. There was a safety driver in the vehicle as well, but then collecting all sorts of data. And Pete, this is where I think the iMotions platform can be very helpful, both in synchronizing the different modalities, but allowing us to analyze the different.
It's never been so easy to find test persons.
Martin, can you comment around legislation? Can you comment on how that either helps or hurts us?
We have so much legislative tailwind right now. What happened was 2 years ago, there was a new bill in the European, like on a pan-European Union level, where it's called the General Safety Regulation. And there was a lot of new technologies that's going to make car safer in the active safety domain. And it was legislated that it's going to be brought into newly produced cars in 3 tranches in 2022, 24, and 26. And driver monitoring, the monitoring of the car drivers in there. And basically what it says that in 2026, it's illegal to sell a car in Europe that doesn't have driver monitoring. And some of the cars will already be equipped no later than 2024. So this is like, it may sound like it's far away, it's 5 years away, but in terms of automotive industry, this is like saying it's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, the industry just like, it's herd mentality, it's just rushing towards getting it in. And we were expecting, and this has been going back and forth, this U.S. infrastructure bill. So we were expecting it for a long time. And basically, is it 26 in the U.S. as well? I think so.
I think so.
7. So basically, it's the same thing. I mean, it's going to be like the seatbelt, like the airbag, just going to be there in every car. But what we can do, especially when you talk about interior sensing and multimodal interior sensing, is that we can start building new functionality and cool features and cool stuff on top of that, like legislative baseline. And once the camera is there, or the cameras, or a camera plus radar or whatever is in the car, we can start making a lot more with that. So, and basically it has happened in Europe first, in the US second. I believe China and Japan and Korea will come closely thereafter, and then it's just going to be in every car.
Martin, some of our viewers may not realize that we are, like, our DMS solutions are already in the market. So can you talk about the number of design wins we have and the number of OEMs we partner with? Yeah,
so we partner with, we have design wins with 13 OEMs, 89 car models and counting, because it's sort of self-generating that it becomes more and more all the time. And this is, and we have deliver. I mean, we have BMW and a few others that we are not allowed to mention yet, but hopefully very soon, that are already delivering cars. And we have delivered close to 1 million cars with the SmartEye license in it. So this 89 car models, 13 OEMs, it's a lot more than what anyone else has. So we're clear market leaders here. And but the market is young, so we are not resting on our laurels. We are really pushing forward to really be part of this safety revolution that we're seeing.
So when do you foresee ride-sharing companies like Uber or Lyft taking advantage of interior sensing, and what will that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it was, for me, I think it's so self-evident that they should have it. It would really be such a quality assurance that, if there is this kind of system and that you can be tired, like I'm sure Peter could be very, very tired right now when he's driving because he has small babies at home and maybe he doesn't get his normal sleep and things like that, right? So, and that could happen to your Uber or Lyft driver as well, that maybe they have small kids or something else has disturbed their nightly sleep and they are really tired. And this is such a quality assurance that these things, because cars, they are so safe today. How often do you hear about someone's car crashing because the brakes didn't work or the steering wheel didn't work? Really doesn't happen, right? It's the human factor. That's a big thing about accidents.
Yeah, and then there are other use cases like objects left behind. So if a rider leaves the vehicle and they forget their purse, the system can detect that. Lots of applications there as well. And mental health is an area that all three of us, this trifecta, is very interested in. We've done work with iMotions actually exploring the facial and vocal and physiological biomarkers for things like depression, even suicidal intent, Parkinson's. So that will continue both in academia and hopefully transition to telehealth and other health tech companies as well. And then there are absolutely tons of applications in education. If you just think about online learning systems where, again, the teacher or the educator has an opportunity to understand the emotional and social engagement and learning readiness of their students, there's great opportunities to improve learning outcomes. So yes, lots of applications to explore here. We actually, I think the three of us, I think you would both agree, Pete and Martin, we fundamentally believe that this is going to become the standard and kind of ubiquitous human-machine interface in the future. Yeah. So absolutely. To wrap up, what does multimodal mean for each of you? Peter, we'll go with you first. Why is multimodal key for the future?
Well, yeah, since I've used a decade to build it, I think I'm pretty self-explanatory for why I think it brings value. But as I said, to refer back to my start, right? In order to understand human behavior, you need to be multimodal. You need to have a lot of inputs. If you only look at the eye, for example, you're not going to have enough. You're going to have biased data. You're going to miss a lot of what's relevant. So you need to have as many input and sensors as possible in order to get deeper insights into human behavior. So I think that's the key seen from iMotions' side.
Martin, how about you?
Yeah, if you have like a really, really close friend or a really close family member or someone that's super close to you, you can really interpret that person really, really well when you sit in the same room, look at each other and talk and so on. And our collaboration with computers isn't that advanced yet. It's so early days. Mouse and keyboard. It gives such a primitive connection between human and computers. And so what you're going to see in the future is that you will be understood by the different computers around you, and your command will come through like it's going to be super easy. And we are just starting that journey, I think. And multimodal morality is what's going to bring us there.
I love that. We have, over the last, several decades, have been interacting with technology on its own terms. And it's about time that we reimagine a human-machine interface to interact with us on our own terms, through perception, through conversation, through emotions, and we're doing that. So it's very exciting. Last shout out: we are actually hiring in all our locations all around the world. So do check out smarteye.ai for open positions, and also affectiva.com and iMotions.com, and come join our team.
Come and be part of this revolution.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah. Thank you both for joining me, and happy holidays. Martin, I'll hopefully see you soon in Sweden. And everybody who's tuned in, thank you for joining us. Stay safe with all of this.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you.
I don't know.
Bye.
I thought this was a fascinating discussion, hearing from the 3 CEOs from companies coming together to discuss not only the value of the acquisitions to our automotive and research clients and prospects, but also sharing their visions on how our complementary technologies will come together to shape a multimodal future for each of these industries. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the Human Centric AI podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts for new episodes. We're also on social media, so please reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to share any feedback you have on the show and weigh in on the discussion using hashtag HumanCentricAI Podcast. Don't forget to rate us and comment with your feedback to help make the podcast more discoverable for others. Until next time, thanks for listening.